So welcome to our fifth Fintechmeets. Some of you attended the first ones. You know, we dealt with issues like big data, machine learning, blockchain, and the last one was on gamification. As you know, these Fintechmeets are designed first for our internal public, so for our colleagues here, but also for the external guests from the ecosystem, and I'm very happy to see them here. Notably, I see Mr. Müller from the education, so it's really for us also interesting to have this impact in, let's say, supporting agility and the innovative spirit within the Luxembourg ecosystem. So, mentioning the subjects and the name Fintechmeets, you might think that the subject of today may be a little bit less fintech. But fintech is broad. Fintech deals for us not only with the product, which is important, but with customer experience, or user experience, as we say. And that is what counts today, getting to these customers, speaking their language, and seeing how we can use technology in this process. And that's really the subject of today's Fintechmeets. What are those business models which we will see? How do we address the expectations of today's customers and also of tomorrow's customers? So we are very lucky to have this time two speakers which both are coming from Lux Future Lab. At first we will welcome Rodrigo Sepúlveda Schulz. He is the co-founder and managing partner of Expon Capital. Expon Capital is also located at Lux Future Lab in their double capacity as with their own fund, Expon, but also with managing the Luxembourg Digital Tech Fund. So Rodrigo will give the broad picture about customer experience, the new trends in multi-communication channels, and you can really, I think, knowing him, expect something quite disruptive. Then, right after that, we'll have a second speaker, and there I'm extremely, I must say, proud to introduce Polina Montano from Job Today. Polina Montano is one out of a handful of women co-founders which we have met over the 6 years at Lux Future Lab. I think we have seen some 50 companies coming through and very few women. So I'm extremely proud that she is here, and not only that she's here, but she's chairing such a successful startup like Job Today. Job Today was with us from the beginnings. They now have moved out, not because they are not satisfied with us, I hope so, but simply because they have become way too large for us, way too big for our location. Polina said to me that the thing which makes her proudest is to know that over, 2 years? Over 2 years, she has helped to give a job to over 200,000 people. That's admittedly quite impressive. So I will leave you in the good hands of these two exceptional speakers, and we will have time for questions and answers afterwards. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Bear with me. This is going to be slightly different from what you see usually. I have a beard, I have a ponytail, I have funky examples, I have an opinion, and I'm also the co-founder, as just mentioned, of Expon Capital. There's 4 of us. This is Chewbacca and his friends. We manage the Digital Tech Fund, which is a very early stage fund of 20 million. We have the goal to raise the ecosystem here in Luxembourg, part of a number of other initiatives. We've just invested in 2 firms. I'll be rushing out because at 2 o'clock I have an investor committee. One from Germany, and one from Spain. And we also manage another fund called Expon that invests globally. We just invested our first company with this fund out of California with two small names in our community. We joined forces with Sequoia and Kleiner Perkins. We're pretty happy about that. So you see Anna here, very happy. So what are we talking about? Disruptive customer experiences. On the left is what I see most of the time with corporates, with brands. That's where you live. On the right is all the cars, the new cars that I see coming in, all the new initiatives from startups. Sometimes they break down. If you've ever owned an English car, a TVR, it's going to bring you back every 3 months, or a Ferrari, for example. So, I have a lot of slides, a lot of data, but I have only 5 messages. So it'll be pretty easy to summarize. I'll talk about internet metrics, numbers, perspective, and I'll give you 4 use cases. So 2 things happened last week. You know what it was? Just last week. Major milestones. Anyone?
Facebook?
Yes, well done! Facebook just reached 2 billion monthly active users. If you don't know what that means, today, it's bigger than any other country in the world. With just one guy who has full voting rights on his board. It's called a dictator in other places. Right? If you sum up the Western world, it takes a lot of countries to get to 2 billion. I've projected here, we're at 7.5 billion today, humans. I've projected to 8 billion the next 6 or 7 years. Still, Facebook will be bigger. If you look at the growth of Facebook today, they have 2 billion active users. We can expect to get to 3 billion very quickly in the next probably 2 years. How are they doing that? In addition to everything else, they're actually flying drones. So they're testing drones to fly for 3 or 4 months in the air, give connectivity to places that don't have connectivity. They're laying out fiber cables around the world. Now, why is this important? Because this is a mega trend. We've increased capacity over 50 times in the past 10 years. 50 times. We're going to increase it again by an order of magnitude in the next 10 years. If you look at the capacity around the world, it's huge. So what does this mean? Today, we're about to reach 4 billion internet users. And it's growing all the time. This is who we're talking to, everyone, basically. From when I started working in the tech scene, there were about 50 million users. This is about 25 years ago, only universities were connected. Now everyone, literally everyone is connected, and more. Second thing that happened last week, on June 29th, was the 10-year anniversary of the launch of the iPhone. You remember this phone? This is what it used to be, only 10 years ago. So how can you predict 10 years from now disruption? Whenever I'm asked that question, I say, I don't know. This has changed absolutely everything. Only little devices have actually killed. Nokia, for example, have replaced 50+ devices that you used to buy. All of it has been digitized from hardware into software into your pocket. As an example, because we have all these devices in our pocket, we can now do things we never thought we would be doing. We're taking about 1 trillion pictures every year. 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. That's a lot of pictures. Just this little fact tells you that there's a problem with capacity, with storage, with search. How do you find all this data? Which means artificial intelligence. You might have heard the word big data. Just talking about pictures. It's going to get better. If you look at predictions by a small guy called Ericsson, we're going to get to 7 billion smartphones. This is more than people who actually own a phone. I'm sure you have friends who have 2 or 3 phones on themselves as well. Right? And this is happening for a number of reasons, including technology. There's new technology coming in, enabling all this process, all this growth, changes of technology. Which means mobile traffic is exploding, which means, basically, we're targeting everyone today on their mobile. The internet has half the desktop usage. It's over 50% mobile. If this is not clear to you, this is life. Digital means mobile, means real time. I'm not sure you're familiar with Robinhood. It's a free stock trading platform. It's a unicorn. This is what we call companies that are worth over $1 billion. And it's possible because with this in your pocket, you can trade anywhere in real time on your phone. Again, this is only 10 years old. It's pervasive. There are new business models. Uber is still the largest private tech company in the world. It would not have been possible, Uber, 80 billion, if we didn't have the phone. Access to the internet, the proper UI, data plan on ourselves, anywhere. It gets even better. I'm sure you're familiar with Waze whenever you take an Uber. Well, it gives you information that is specific to you. This is what has happened. The internet has become mobile, real-time, pervasive, and customized. That's setting the stage. And it's not evident to everyone. So, going back to Marketing 101, whenever we want to talk about customers, we've got to go where they are. It's finished waiting for customers to come to us. We've got to go to them. And I have the same situation with all the startups I talk to. I ask them, what is your go-to-market strategy? How are you reaching your customers, if they're a marketplace, your suppliers? It's a real question. Now, we talked about 3.8 billion users. There are about 20, give or take, services today that have over 1 billion users. That's it. But we're catching up really fast. I'm sure you're familiar with the GAFAMs or GAFAs or whatever you want to call them. The Googles, Amazons, Facebook, Tencents of the world. Again, if you look at YouTube, 1.5 billion users. That's more than China. That's more than India. And it's growing super fast. Since we're talking about customers, second problem. There's a thing called segmentation. We do not talk in the same way, with the same tools, with the same channels to different users. And the more people you have to target, more segmentation you need. So all these numbers we'll call, all these names, like Gen X, that's me, Gen Y, Gen Z, millennials, the silents, the alphas. There are different channels to talk to these people. I sent an email with his report from school to my son last week. I asked him yesterday, did you see it? He said, no, I don't open my email. Why do I send you an email? Tell me that you sent me an email and I'll open my email. Behavior in these different segments is very important. I'm going to do a dangerous parallel here. It's like your brand of cigarettes if you smoke. I don't, but if you smoke, you're very unlikely to switch. So the whole point is grabbing people early on. I suppose it's the same when you open a bank account. Go grab someone early on. If you're going to go grab these people early on, you've got to talk to them the way they are used to communicating, listening to messages, not the way you think you've got to. So an example, you're all familiar with this brand, Evian. They had this fantastic campaign on television, display, about babies on roller skates. That was the previous campaign. They're not buying any advertising now, whatsoever, in display or television. They're going through social media. What? So whenever you see charts such as this one, advertising is going mobile. Don't think it's mobile going into a little display on your phone that very annoying ad for whatever it comes on your phone. That's not what it is. Let me show you how it is. Title was Disruptive Customer Behavior or Experiences. So are you familiar with Snapchat? Who is? Do you use it? Who does? Well, you guys are progressive. I spend like 3 hours going through the FAQ trying to figure it out. My daughter lives on Snapchat. It's television for them. I talked to one of their investors before they went public. He says, it's television for the millennials. That's what they watch. And actually, if you swipe to the left, notice it's not in there, there's all their curated channels where brands communicate content. Right? There's so much more you can do. They came up with this, let's call it barcode, QR code, dot code, snap code, whatever. And this is mobile, right? As I just said. How do we make mobile with the physical world? For example, you put the codes on your physical product, such as a bottle. This is in the train. I get access to Snapchat. Click. What do I get? I get a filter. Since it's Snapchat, it's only available for 1 hour. You know, Snapchat disappears after 24 hours. And what does it do? It makes me a little young baby dancing, which I can share on all social media. It's funky. Should I put a little video here? And you start sharing it. Is this behavior normal to you? Well, bad news. For the millennials, it is. You've all seen these pictures with a little dog, a nose, and the ears. It's super normal to them. And of course, they've built the whole social media presence, so they have stuff, and they have this cute girl coming in, telling stories. Here she's at Wimbledon, started Monday. So you engage with the brand on your mobile with services you kind of never heard before. It's crazy, huh? Well, a lot of people think it's not crazy. And it's going to get better. This is from this morning or yesterday. They're adding more and more features. You say, what is this? Adding a URL so you can click, go somewhere. Wow, it's called transactional. Remember the iPhone didn't have cut and paste at the beginning. So there's a very big revolution going on. Snapchat is only one example of social media. And coming back to you, a lot of people are experimenting in fintech with Snapchat. Let's move on. Let's look at services. Are you a service business? By any chance? Yeah? So I said, let's go to where users are, right? The largest platform today where you'll find users is not social media. It's messaging. It's text, it's WhatsApp, it's Messenger, it's Line, it's WeChat, it's Viber. That's where people are. It's very big. At 1.2 we saw on Facebook. It's going to get even bigger. We're actually adding 1.5 billion users in the next 2.5 years. It's the largest platform. So if you were thinking of buying advertising on television or outdoor billboards, that's not where the users are. Or the old ones, maybe, if you're targeting the older ones. The younger ones are not there. So this is from last week on a business show in France. The guy on the right is David Marcus. I've known him for many years. We used to be entrepreneurs together. He went on to run PayPal, and now he runs Messenger for Facebook. And what he's saying on a business channel is that messaging is the right place to talk to brands. Now let me help you here. Next slide is going to be a bit busy. The internet was kind of invented in 1994. Up to 2000, we built services with a vertical website. One side for e-commerce, one side for pictures, one side for music, etc. Around the end of the 90s, AOL came in, did the same thing in a closed environment. And we had AOL keywords. 2004, Facebook comes in and does the same thing. What messaging services in Asia have done, mainly WeChat, came out of QQ from Tencent, now Line, is they've done the same thing. They've added services and services and services on top of everything. Here in the Western world, we're at the left. Stickers, 2011, that's where we are. In Asia, they're doing all kinds of transactions, payments. You go to a market in a small town in China, you pay with your phone or WeChat. Messaging service, because that is the internet code. So this is where we are, stickers, that's me. And this, by the way, is a company called Bitmoji, was sold less than 2 years by Snapchat for 100 million. So, David Marcus, the guy I was talking about, said in November last year at the trade conference, there are today 34,000 bots. Do we know what a bot is? I'll get to that. 6 months later, 7 months later, again the same show last week, there are 100,000 bots. Are you getting a little sense of speed here? So this is what we understand of bots, general public. It's called artificial intelligence, right? So here what you see is how the computer is thinking about the next move. It's a very simplified version of artificial intelligence. We now have a new fancy word, we call this machine learning. Artificial intelligence used to be an algorithm that we knew about. Input, algorithm, output. Machine learning is input, a lot of data, and it just learns the output by itself. You probably read about a year and a half ago, Google's algorithm is recognizing cats automatically from pictures. That's machine learning. Bots are about machine learning. Everyone is doing bots, every single platform that I talked about, and this is what a bot looks like. For instance, in France, there's a company called Citron. I could have asked this to Citron. Can you get me a dinner reservation for 4 people tonight at Command Burger? It has to recognize what we call NLP, natural language processing. It has to understand what you're talking about. It has to understand context, and it has to apply your question to that context. Sounds simple? It's not simple at all. Right? A lot of companies are going after this. These are software providers enabling you to create a bot. There are a number of others. And the industry is going crazy. This is the funding for a company doing a bot to help you recruit. We're going to be talking about recruitment in a bit. I know quite a few others. As in, if you're McDonald's, for example, you're recruiting a lot of staffers all the time. Well, you could ask them the same questions through a decision tree, or start becoming interesting to see something in their CV they want to talk about. Use a machine to do that. Become very normal. We're doing the same thing in healthcare. Matteo Bellucchi, who runs URND, just raised 10 million, does the same thing. He asks you about your symptoms and talks back to you and tells you what you have. More accurate than your doctor. In machine learning, in NLP, we're now down to 5-7% error, which is the same as humans. Super accurate. Same for reaching out. Outbound sales calls, finance. How does this apply to you? Hey, you might have heard of this company. They're actually using bots to talk to millennials, because that's where they are, messaging services. That's how we interact with them. Third, voice. I've been talking about voice for a couple of years. It became extremely hot in January at Las Vegas show, CES. Voice interface. It's the same thing as NLP that I was talking about earlier, except there's a little component that takes my analog voice, transcribes it into text, and then feeds it into machine learning. All the players are going into this. This is how it works if you have an Alexa at home.
Alexa, turn the lights off.
It's faster now.
Alexa, turn the lights on.
I have Alexa's Echo machines in every room in the house.
Alexa, what time is it in Chile?
And it goes on. So you can talk to
in New York.
these devices from about 5 or 6 meters afar. It's always on. So you don't have to look at your phone, reach it out. Just say, ask whatever. If I want an Uber, I say, Alexa, get me an Uber. That's it. How do they do that? I'll get into a minute, but if you look at projections, voice is becoming the new environment for this. You just talk in your room to something. Not as the first Siri, we have to press the button here and, hey Siri, set the alarm for tomorrow. Just talk. He just picks it up. Everyone's coming in. Apple in June, early June, had a show. They're coming up to this market as well. And the way Alexa does this, so Amazon is really in the front runner here, is they have a thing called Skills. Skills is like an app that you connect to the voice ecosystem, right? Last time I looked at it, they had 10,000 skills. That was February. What happened this week? 15,000. Are you getting a sense of speed? This is how it looks like. There's a whole app store for skills. So could I ask Alexa about my bank account? To do a wire, for example? And I'm saying Alexa because the other guys haven't gone out yet. They'll be there though. Everyone is going after this. And yes, there are banks actually engaging with Alexa, building skills, which is machine learning AI behind this. Now, you've heard about self-driving cars. It's everywhere already. Already. Close to you the next 2 years. I have stats from the US. Americans spend about 2 hours per day in a car. What are they going to do when they're not driving? They'll be talking to a computer. They'll be doing this. What's my bank account? Send a wire. How can I apply for a mortgage? Just mainly voice. As time flies, last example. Anyone remember Second Life? You do? What's shit though? Well, it was an environment that didn't look very real. So if you Google a little bit, people are asking themselves, could I do augmented reality in the banking world? Well, this is how it looks today. There are a few problems. It's not very intuitive. It's clumsy. It's heavy. It looks stupid. I'm actually drawing a house here in 3D. It's pretty cool. Okay. And then also, it requires a lot of computing power. So again, the keynote that Tim Cook at Apple just gave was all about putting VR, virtual reality computing power into Macs. So we're not there yet. But, and the guy who did Second Life, Phil Groldfield, he actually did the same thing called high fidelity. It's a VR environment for Second World. But remember this from last summer? Pokemon Go. This is what we call augmented reality. We just add stuff on top of the real world. How does this work? We have a camera, and then we just display computer-generated graphics on top of it. This is augmented reality, or mixed reality, not virtual reality. Incredible numbers that we're doing very quickly, 3 million revenue a day. And there are a number of initiatives. So this is my glass hole look. Don't look great. It was pretty shitty. It was a VGA display, 640 by 480. It was really bad. In January this year, I tried something else. An R8, and actually I tried the R9 as well. It's incredible. It has a little camera in the center here. So it films what I'm seeing, and at the same time it's projecting. With the speed, with Moore's law, this is going to get smaller and smaller. And augmented reality is here. This, yes. And this is what it looks like. This is
where your digital world is blended with your real world.
Still too big. So we're getting there.
Now we can. This is the world with holograms. What will they enable us to do?
for a lot of things like gaming, super
Mixed
cool.
reality.
But what we're really interested in is we look like this. Put on your glasses.
Life
Have your
participant.
glasses over there.
Imagine.
And you see mixed reality.
With this footage, shot exclusively for Wired through
Anywhere.
Magic Technology, you can see some immediate.
Right? So I would encourage you to read up on what is being done in augmented reality in financial services. A lot of stuff already, and the glasses are almost here. Give it max 2 years to start preparing for that. So, title of the talk was what? Disruptive customer behavior experiences. I told you 1, it's very big and growing. 2, it's mobile, fully mobile. It's at 3, you've got a target. 4, there's stuff that's happening, it's called messaging right now in AI. And this is coming really quickly. Thank you.
Take questions afterwards, or will you not have time? Yes.
I can take a few now if you want. Because we already had an investor meeting. 2 questions if you want. No.
Okay.
You're already.
Any questions? Your speech needs to sink in there. Okay, Polina, your turn.
Ah, so no questions. Seriously. Hi everyone. First of all, I have to say big thank you to Rodrigo. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and most importantly, I'm really thankful to him because all of his messages, which I believe all of us got through from his speech, were actually more than relevant to what it is we do and to what it is, for some of the main leading principles about on what job today is actually building. So guys, I don't have a beard and I don't have a ponytail, but I can promise it's going to be fun and it's going to be disruptive as well. So Rodrigo really laid out for us the picture of today's world and how exciting is what technology can do to this world and how fast things are actually evolving in the society, in different industries, across different sectors. But what if, just imagine for one little second, but there is one sector left out there which is actually touching everyday lives of so many people, millions and millions every day, which unfortunately has been very, very, very slow to innovate. Does it get interesting? I think it does. What if I also told you that that sector I'm talking about is actually not a nice to have, it's not a maybe, it's an absolute vital must for everyone in the society we live in. Especially for you guys. You are bankers, right? You handle money which people bring to you and people earn someplace. So tell me one thing every one of your clients actually needs to become your client. And I can tell you, one thing which everybody needs in this world is a job, right? Is there anything which can be more vital and more essential than getting a job? Well, except for being in good health, I honestly don't see much. So, this is the sector in which we are active, and my clicker is not working, so no outputs. So, what it is we do as a job today? Maybe just a little bit of background of how I ended up here and how we got inspired by doing what we are doing and solving such a huge pain for so many people. Actually, before starting job today, I was launching a number of retail businesses. And I can tell you one thing, retail is very slow to innovate. It's very people heavy and it's very technology shy. So, let me just come back to what it is we are doing. So job today is a mobile marketplace for casual jobs, and what we do is we connect employers with local and available job seekers in just seconds. Let me come back a little bit and give it a bit more color on what it is. As a retail, we can talk about anything. We can talk about a restaurant, we can talk about shop, we can talk about a hotel. The success of every retail business lies in one thing and one thing only, is the success of its operations. And guess what? In those sectors, how will your operation become successful? Your operation becomes successful by one very simple thing. It's about having right people in the right places when you actually need them the most. Today, when you need to hire someone for your restaurant, for your bar, for your hotel, for any kind of retail or hospitality activity, what it is you do? Can you believe that in the world there are so many exciting technological processes is happening? Can you imagine that still today, many people, when they need to hire someone for their business, they actually do it entirely offline? I'm not a big fan of numbers. I'm actually by definition a people's person. But I can tell you one thing. In the sectors of hospitality and retail, which we call casual jobs or blue-collar jobs, 75% of hiring is happening offline. So when I need to hire someone, even being in a country as Luxembourg, because that was the place where I was running my businesses, I will have to do a couple of things. I will have to put a small little paper sign in the window, which, believe me, you would still see walking on the streets of Paris, the streets of London, the streets of Barcelona, Madrid. You still see this old good sign, staff wanted. How come it's still there? Is there really nothing else? If I want to hire someone, I would maybe call a temp agency, and I would have to be lucky because I need to make sure I'm calling between 9 to 5 to find the right person, to actually fill in all the details, tell them about my business, and then maybe if I'm lucky get someone in a couple of days and also pay quite a premium on top of the hourly salary for the person. What else can I do? I could go maybe to use some of the traditional job boards. But you know what? If I am looking for a job in a shop or in a hotel or a restaurant, do I really go on job boards and look for a job there? Not always. And why I don't do that? I don't do that because it's too slow and I need a job fast. I'm looking for something. I'm sick and tired of sending so many applications to so many places and never hearing back. Maybe I can come back to the market later, but that's just something typically investors really like to look at. They're not only solving a huge problem for a really large chunk of population, they're also solving and disrupting the market, which is potentially very, very big to disrupt. So this is total spend on hiring services out there, and you have all probably heard about LinkedIn, right? White collar social hiring network. Does something like this ever exist for blue collar? Anyone? You haven't heard of it because it doesn't exist. However, if you look at the spend in those markets, you would be surprised that white collar recruitment services only actually represent 150 billion out of total market, while 270 billion actually remains in casual and blue collar jobs. So isn't that amazing? Here, what it is we have here? Here we have the sad reality of the sector. The way how hiring is done today. Look at the left. For those who ever had their own business, I assure you, this is the way hiring is happening. My biggest competitor today, when my investors are asking me, hey, job today, what are you competing against? Well, that's what I'm competing against. Do I think that giving my users a mobile application which connects you to available candidates in just seconds, which allows you to talk to them via built-in chat function, which also shows you their video profiles, which also shows you their video cover letter? Well, I think it looks a little bit more sexy when this pile of dusty paper, which you see sitting here. And maybe just for the background, if you have never seen it, how this dusty pile of paper gets there? Believe it or not, today, job seekers who are looking for a job in hospitality and retail, no matter where in the world, when they need to find this job, what they do, they print out a number of curriculums, they all look exactly the same, and they just hit the streets and go and visit potential venues to see potential employers with that paper in hand, knocking on the door and asking, hey, I'm here, I'm looking for a job, call me if you have something available. This is truly the way it happens. So you would think, hey, if there's so much supply coming from inbound, why would I ever need a solution if I'm on the employer side, right? It's too easy, just go to this type of paper and work with it. Well, you could do that if you have a number of hours of spare time. You would have to look at each paper separately. You would have to remember who came in last week and who came in 3 weeks ago and who is still available and who is still on the market. How do I contact them? Do I send them a text? Do I call them? Do I send them an email? Is there anyone who can make it easy for me, for God's sake? And the thing is, you get even more frustrated because as an employer, you always know there are so many people out there who need your job and you have a position available and there is just not a way for you to get to them. So that is something which we are solving. A little bit about how fast we are progressing, and I think a couple of points Rodrigo mentioned today was about speed. Well, company has been around for 2 years. Quite unusual, a startup coming out of Luxembourg, which has, what is the total number of population here in Luxembourg? Correct me if I'm wrong. Are we getting to about 600,000 in total? So we launched 2 years ago. We launched first in Spanish market, obviously because our minimal viable product was ready in about April, and it was really cold and rainy in Luxembourg, and we just couldn't take it anymore. So we decided, you know what, we're just going to go to Spain and launch it there. So we launched in Spain first, and 1 year later we joined UK to the scope. In those 2 years, we processed over 50 million applications in 2 years only. Today, we are running at a run rate about close to 5 million applications per month. So that's how many, maybe I have a few numbers. In terms of candidates who we have on the platform, today it's about 3 million candidates who are actively using us. In terms of jobs, which we are posting on the platform every single day, it's 500,000 per month, it's total, 500,000 so far. Last month we were about 50,000 jobs per month. In terms of how many businesses are using us, and I think it's really an important number, I'm really proud of it. Over 250,000 businesses joined the platform in just 2 years of time. 250,000. What's most importantly also is to say that not only those people are coming to the platform and start using us, it's also very important that those people actually do come back. On the side of candidates, our retention is over 70%, and on the business side, it's 65% of users come back and post more jobs. This is also a little bit, once again, coming back to the speed on how fast things are happening. Well, I would say pretty fast. So we started, we only just took last year, just not to go too far back. It's how fast we are ramping up to 50 million job listings per month. This is a little bit on the scope of what kind of businesses are using us. It's basically everything from a very small business, shop around the corner, to also some big brands. There is one thing I would agree and disagree as being maybe a real life example of it's how it is you communicate to users. I would definitely agree that you do have to go where your users are. And you do have to communicate to them via the channel which is the most familiar to them. However, for us, being a technology company, we're not only a technology company, we are building something which we believe is a consumer brand. Consumer brand is like a household name, it's like the brand you always use for buying your toaster. The Coca-Cola bottle which you find in supermarkets for your kids is something which is recognizable, something which everybody can relate to. Job today is meant to become a consumer brand in a very short space of time, basically. Why do I think becoming a consumer brand is the right way to go for us? Simply because we are not solving something which just only a few people in a society might need. We are solving a very vital need, which I believe, even in this audience today, I would think probably most of you guys are white collar and work in the financial industry, but maybe through your university's years, maybe when you were just getting out of school, didn't all of us have those jobs maybe for end of say for a weekend, during the week, just to work someplace in a restaurant or maybe in a shop selling t-shirts, I believe they have all been there. So that's something which is very, very, very relevant for a very big chunk of population. So what it is, when we are building a consumer brand, at least what we are doing in job today, we believe, yes, you do have to go where your consumers are, but given the fact that the sectors which we are trying to crack, which were so traditional and so slow to innovate, we actually do TV campaigns. And not only we do TV campaigns, we're extremely pleased with the outcome of our TV campaigns, especially in a market such as Spain. Sometimes as a startup, you do have to take risky decisions, and you do have to not listen to people who are experts and who will be advising you and telling you, hey, it's not done this way, don't do this. Nobody has ever run TV campaign when you are so young and you are so small, and you should not be spending your marketing dollars hoping to find your employer side of the equation through TV channel or for billboards. Well, that's not what we see. Clearly, what we are targeting is a SMB, is a small guy, is a small company. And those small business owners who are also decision makers, in many, many ways, they act as consumer and they respond to the same message as consumers do. So basically, one of our great experiences from very first year of launching in Spain is that TV campaign has been working exceptionally well for us. It totally outperformed every single other digital channel we tried, and it was also successful in bringing both sides of the equation for us. Not only getting us tons and tons of job seekers looking for jobs, but as well helping us bring in some employers on board. Another thing, maybe business model. So you would say, okay guys, great, you are growing so fast, traction is amazing. How it is you are planning to monetize? How it is you make money? Well, on the business model, I would have to say we are very early in the monetization stage. I tell you why. By the nature of our business, we are basically a mobile marketplace. Mobile marketplace, just to step away from technical jargon, what it is. It's basically a platform where on one side you have a demand, and on the other side you have a supply. And the whole beauty about job today, when they say they do things instantly, they actually do things instantly. 78% of matches on our platform is happening within the first 24 hours after the job was posted. Isn't it amazing? Well, it is. Nothing like this has ever been done in the hiring sector. So how do you get to this point? And to get to this point, you have to run after one thing and one thing only, which we believe is the name of the game for a small startup to survive. In our terms, it's liquidity. Liquidity might be technical, but it basically means you do need to have sufficient number of users on both sides of your equation. You do have to make sure when someone is posting a job for a waitress in the center of London, he should be able to get up to 50 candidates within the next hour, and his phone literally should come to life because so many people are applying for a job. We are taking it one step further. Not only people will apply, but our whole proposition is based on immediacy and about direct communication. So everything on the platform basically happens via chat. Our job today chat works just the same way as WhatsApp, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So from the moment you get the application for a position, you actually open the profile, and if you find a candidate relevant, you can engage in the conversation straight away. You can ask questions, okay, are you available to work next Friday? Do you speak French? Do you know how to make cocktails? Do you have a certificate XYZ if it is required by local legislation? But there is also one more thing, which I believe is our big next thing, which is coming out next week. This week it is an internal testing. Thinking about your users, who they are, what's important to them, what it is they are looking for. In those jobs, in casual jobs, it's not so much about experience which someone has. In many cases, it's about personal fit. Let's also not forget, most of our positions are customer-faced, facing customer, presenting the company. It's also very important for those candidates to fit well, to say, okay, yes, this is someone who would fit with the rest of the team. This is someone who me, as a business owner, I can actually see working for my business. So how do you send that signal about personality, about this personal fit? How do you send it online? Has anybody in recruitment ever succeeded in doing this, no matter white collar or blue collar? It has never been tried, because once again, there is now a big major game changer entering in our lives, which is mobile. People are constantly moving to mobile interfaces, and mobile is actually completely changes the way how we communicate. So how do we do that? We decided how we also help those employers who might receive, maybe this liquidity thing, we are now a bit too good on it, to be honest, because our employers are receiving so many profiles within just a few hours. So we actually now need to help them. How do I sort out 150 profiles without making it painful? And how do I quickly pick 5 candidates which are relevant for my job, right? How do I show them that personal fit with that person in particular who applied for barista position? He is actually qualified and he should be fitting within my team. One thing we decided also to take and to inspire from offline world, where once again majority of hiring is happening. So what's happening today? Today people are printing out curriculum, and because they are motivated to work in a place XYZ, they just hand over that curriculum to place. What does it show us? It allows us to see the candidate, if we can remember him, and it also shows us, hey, he is really motivated, because he made it all the way till here with his resume and towards to work in my store. We are trying to mimic it right now in the mobile marketplace. And the way we are doing it, we are introducing a feature which is coming out next week, which is called a video cover letter. The way it works, we give a job seeker a possibility to record a very short cover letter, which is 30 seconds long, which should only tell him, hey, here I am, this is what I can do, and this is why I want to work at your place. What does it help? How does it help us? First of all, it helps employers to understand who is actually serious about applying for this position. In any case, serious enough to invest a little bit of his personal time and to put himself together and to explain the world why he's good for this position. And it obviously shows a personality as well. Clearly, this is just the beginning of the journey which we are taking on the product side. There is so much more coming later. There is also, for example, all the signals which you can see to some extent in social hiring networks such as LinkedIn, for example. How do you transmit trust? How do I know that this job seeker is somehow more trustworthy than somebody else? How does it work in the real life? If I need to hire someone, what this I am most likely to do? I'm most likely to come to my people who work for me and ask them, hey, do you know someone? Can you recommend someone? So right now, this is just the first steps in this direction, but there is so much more to come on the product roadmap on how do you transmit trust, how it is, once again, on an employer side, how it is you can transmit the vibe of a place, who you are and what it is you do. Me too, I have a user tester at home, which is my teenage daughter, by whom I run absolutely every single feature we are releasing. The first time when I spoke to her about video job profiles, video cover letter, and once again, think on employer side, this could be video jobs, profile of employer, why I am a better firm to work than anybody else. This is what millennials are looking for. My daughter doesn't write texts. When she writes me a text, it's going to be 5 emoticons and 2 words. And if she can avoid even to write that, she will record me a message and send me by WhatsApp. Whatever it is I ask her to read, it will end up being on YouTube video about XYZ. We are just trying to follow in the footsteps. The moment I presented this to my test panel at home, she said, okay, Mom, now finally we are doing something cool. So that is maybe in a few words where it is we are heading. Once again, company started in Luxembourg, which unfortunately is not on the map, because the country is just too small and has such a long name. It's hard to fit it in, and people don't even know if it's a country or a city. So, sky's the limit. We definitely have a global ambition. If I have to maybe send one message before I'm done, I promise I'm done in 1 minute. I honestly believe that inspiration can be absolutely everywhere. And technology is great, and technology can help us do so many amazing things. But let's also not forget about not only technological innovation, but also about process innovation. how it is we can make some everyday processes which are valid and necessary for so many people in everyday life, how we can make those processes nice and easy. And I believe today we are living in absolutely revolutionary times where technology is there to help us, and there is still so much which remains to be done. No matter the sector, might it be hiring, might it be banking, might it be finance industry. In banking in particular, very, very relevant to what it is we do. Clearly, sooner or later, we will be taking it to the next step, and we would like to help our users not only to find a job on the platform, but maybe also to receive a paycheck. Maybe that's a direction where we could look how to make things easier. On the customer service side of big banks, I definitely think there is so much which can be improved. Like, should there not be an easy way to talk to the bank just the same way as you can talk to the employer via an application which is just in your pocket? I think sky is the limit, and I think it's exciting times in which we are living. Thank you, guys.
After these inspiring talks, where I think, Polina, you summarized it very well, sky is the limit. Thank you, Rodrigo, for most inspiring speech. Thank you, Polina. It's now up to you for your questions.
I think we have been very clear, guys. There's no questions left.
No, voilà, thank you. Elle veut aussi poser en français, hein, ils comprennent.
Ok, bon, alors je reste sur le français. Alors voilà, donc je voulais juste une question d'ordre financier. Comment tirez-vous des revenus de vos applications voilà. Sur quoi vous vous rémunérez en fait? C'est là où pour moi ça reste un peu flou. Est-ce que les sociétés qui...
Yes, the one in the middle. It's not yet as Rodrigo explained.
Yeah, it's not yet voice managed. Okay. As to the revenues, once again, we are a little bit early days still in testing our models. It is very important for us to continue growing. So it's like one challenge all companies are facing. Oh, do I want to monetize or do I want to grow? And how do I do both at the same time? Part of my team is thinking it's an oxymoron, but I'm working very hard on convincing them that it's not. Once again, I'm from retail world, and I'm very down to earth. I like when numbers make sense. So today what we do, we are monetizing on the side of the employer. So basically, as an employer, you want to post something or promote your job listings, that's the moment when you pay. There is a variety of possibilities of doing so. You can just pay by one, you can have a subscription with us, number of models we are testing. In the future, there are clearly different angles which we can exploit further. One thing is important for us to keep growing. We are firm believers that freemium model is the way to go, for a mobile marketplace at least, not to kill the growth. How does freemium model work? It's basically, we will always allow people to do something for free. So you'll always be able to post a job for free, for example, and we will mostly be upselling premium packages and premium services on top of it.
Thank you. Another question? Well, I might have one for you, Rodrigo. You're coming from quite far away, and being here in Luxembourg, as Polina mentioned, Luxembourg isn't even on the map. So let me ask you, what got you here, and how do you see our ecosystem?
So, context. I'm 46. In 1973, I was not even 3 years old. We had a military coup in Chile. So my dad used to work for the president then, called Allende, so we had to leave really quickly. He joined the UN. We ended up in Thailand. I went to a French school. So I grew up in Thailand for 14 years, and I've been in France now for 29 years. I have shared custody of my kids. I have them every other week. My daughter's turning 11 next week, so I'm still stuck in Paris for the next 7 years. So I can't move. That's why I travel a lot. Now the funny part is my partner is Dutch, but she lives in London. Maybe moving back to Amsterdam now in September, so I commute a lot. I do 1 week Paris, and then the other week I do Luxembourg a couple of days, London or Amsterdam or somewhere. I've been in tech for 25 years. I started off as a tech consultant and management consultant and strategy consultant. Went to business school, started 2 companies, raised a lot of capital, sold them, became an angel back in 2009, did 20 companies, more or less, portfolio, and then I started missing out on deals. As an example, I was in November 2007 in Stockholm, spent a day with a little young guy, he's 24. All the walls of his offices were painted in green. Product was not launched yet, the beta was not out, and I said, I'm in, and he said, okay, how much? I said, 50K. He says, no, I put in 8 million already with my partner. What do you mean 8 million, 24? I said, yeah, I did a few businesses before. So that was Dan and Yek from Spotify. I have a few other examples of deals that started missing. So that's how I decided to start a fund. Now, when you start a fund, you need to be regulated. And in most places, it requires you to have 2 or 3 investors with previous experience in investing. It's a huge barrier to entry. The Paris scene is very crowded. After London is the 2nd largest place in Europe with number of investors. People don't leave their funds because they don't have carried interest or they're waiting for the carried interest, which is what you get, capital gain. So, it's pretty hard to start in France. Now, I knew one of my partners today, Alain, for many, many years. Back then, more than 10 years. And he had just moved back to Luxembourg 2 or 3 years before because his grandparents were Luxembourgish, so he came back here, lived here. So I came to visit. And he said, why don't we start the fund together? They were doing something else and said, we were also thinking about starting a fund maybe. So that's how it became. I came to Luxembourg.
Yeah, and do you see interesting fintech coming now to Luxembourg?
Oh, Luxembourg is super interesting. It has a national market for fintech, regtech, insurtech, right? It has also another fantastic, well, a couple of other fantastic assets. One is people speak a lot of languages here. If you want to have a European base and want to access that big region, so Benelux, Germany, and France, it's a very natural place to come to. For our businesses, when you're looking more long-term in 5 years, the stability of the country is a fantastic asset. When you have guys in France who says, I'm going to tax 75% or more because I don't like rich people, it doesn't encourage investors to do it, right? Now, there's a long history of tech innovation in London. Maybe it's overcrowded, and even more so with all the incubators, accelerators everywhere. There's a great scene coming up in Paris for the past 3-4 years, mainly fueled by what Xavier Niel is doing with his initiatives. So with Kima, 42, Station F, London Incubator. There has been for a very long time a great scene in the Nordics, located, depending on who you talk to, between Helsinki, Stockholm, and Berlin. It's SoundCloud, Swedish, but not Berlin. I'm not going to make friends here, but all other places are kind of anecdotes. So Amsterdam has 2 unicorns like Adyen and Booking, Lisbon, Barcelona. Yeah, Luxembourg is not yet there on the map. There are about 50 companies in tech created every year. That's the whole point of the digital tech fund, is to boost that from 50 to 200.
You have 2 investments now?
We have 2 investments now. That's where I'm discussing the next one in about 50 minutes. One from Germany, so we're bringing in a team from Germany, they're moving here. Another team from Barcelona is setting an office here, because they see all those advantages. And the ones I talked about are not tax advantages, by the way. They're about something else.
For example, the company from Barcelona is also on data speed, which is also interesting for us here.
Yeah, so the company is called Netria. What it does is yield management for the last mile. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to exaggerate the example. So when you buy your groceries online, If you want to be delivered in the next hour, it's maybe 17 euros delivery cost. In 2 hours, it's maybe 12. In 3 hours, it's 6. And in 4 hours, it's maybe free. What they do is they optimize not only the route for delivery, but out of that, they can actually push the prices so they know that you actually go to the extra slot. They know what is the threshold in real time of what you're willing to pay. So now they've deployed that with Carrefour. We're deploying 4 other companies on the board, or Observer on the board. Super interesting. And as you see, the trend of online groceries is huge. Way too many Deliveroo and Foodoras and whoever, bikers everywhere. So there is a need to solve that. And with dynamic pricing discovery, it's really interesting.
Thank you. Any questions now? Okay.
So for Polina, first of all, a question: do you have other in European market? Do you have other company like you starting like something like that? Yes.
If I understand the question, is about competitors who we have competing with us, right? Well, I'm very proud to share that I have my own personal copycat, which is a company also launched in Spain, and they, how to put it mildly, they heavily borrowed on product side and basically launched the clone of our application, just changing the main colors. The name of our copycat is Corner Jobs. What we are doing very different from them is that our business strategy is entirely different. We are going after the SMBs, which is small and medium companies, simply because we believe that's where mobile and direct communication has the most to offer. Our copycat is pursuing business strategy going after corporate clients. So yes, you can steal a product, but you cannot always steal the thinking behind it.
And for Rodrigo, I want to if somebody can't propose to finance, you finance in the seed money startup or later on?
I think there's too much literature outside on how we finance companies. Some get asked very specific questions very often. So you do pre-A or second round of seed, or you do A or this or that. I would say it's irrelevant. If your business is interesting, we will look at it. I can give you a more detailed answer is, when you finance a company, you finance growth stages. Most companies look the same, and again, it's a normal curve, but the first idea is usually financed by yourself, your unemployment, or friends and family. As soon as you have a nucleus of a team, you can start building your product up to the MVP that you were talking about. That is usually done now through incubators and with business angels. We take over from there. So from MVP, that's where we go and finance what we call the product market fit. We have a product, we don't finance product development, so we have a product that we can go and try to sell and try to discover what is the appropriate channel, what is the appropriate price, who's the target customer. We can maybe adapt the product to fit it better. And once we are confident that the product market fit has been reached, next step, which is the second round of seed, then we actually put in a lot of money. And we usually keep 15 to 20 times the original money we put in early to finance Series A. Series B is used either to go and reach profitability or for international expansion. So you have to look at it more like milestones of your company than check sizes or whatever else.
So, Polina and Rodrigo, thanks so much for having been the stars of this fifth FinTech meeting. Very inspiring for us bankers who, when you're listening to these guys, you see that we have quite a long way still to go. So thanks for having inspired us, and hopefully we see lots back from you over here.